Alrighty, we are kicking off DIY number 1 with some cool, trendy Spotify album plaques. I've seen these all over TikTok and Pinterest and thought it'd be fun to try it out myself. So here I just bought some 8x10 frames and I took out the glass part for the plaque, and then I printed out the music player and Spotify codes for the songs that I wanted. This DIY is super easy because all you have to do is literally trace the player and Spotify code onto the glass. And here I'm just using a white marker that I already had. I'll link it in the description box if you want to use the same one. I really like it because it's pretty opaque and the white shows up very well on the clear plaque. And no worries if you smudge anything. I just went back with a Q-tip while it was still wet to clean up any mistakes. Once you're done tracing, all you have to do is paste the album cover onto the plaque. I decided to do it on the back of the plaque just because it looked a lot cleaner. And for the first one, I used this Elmer's Craft Bond glue, but it kind of dried with a mark, which I didn't really like, so I ended up switching over to this crafter's tape, and that one dried completely clear, which was perfect. Scanning the Spotify code is pretty easy. All you have to do is just open the Spotify app. In the search tab in the upper right hand corner, there should be a little camera icon. If you click on that, it should allow you to scan the Spotify code and automatically start playing your song. Okay, DIY number 2 is probably my favorite one. It's inspired by those super colorful and trendy clay jewelry dishes you've probably seen everywhere.
This is my very ratchet sketch of how I want the dish to look like. See how this manifests.
Spoiler alert, it did not manifest that way, as you guys will see. I started off with this plant pot tray thing that I got at Michael's for less than $1, and I just decided to paint it this pretty baby blue color as the base, and then I went around the rim and painted it this light pink color just to give it some contrast. Now it's time to make those little decorative clay figures. I used air dry clay for this, and here I'm just making a little frog to sit on the edge of the tray. This part was probably the most time-consuming portion just because it was such a tedious process of making each of the individual parts of the frog and then also painting it. But I had a ton of fun doing this. I also decided last minute that I wanted to give the frog a little heart to hold, which was just such a cute addition. To help speed up the process of drying, I decided to use a blow dryer, and it worked pretty well, honestly. But it was all fun and games until...
Excuse me, you are not done yet, fam. Gotta draw the eyeballs because this frog needs sight to live. But wait, where is his mouth? How he gonna eat?
Anyway, I ended up using a hot glue gun to secure the little heart to the frog, and I was so obsessed with how it turned out. That is so cute! Also, I deviated from my little sketch that you guys saw earlier and decided to do a lily pad instead of a mushroom because it was just a lot more simple but still super cute. And then finally, I decided to add some clouds and also a little rainbow to fill the space within the tray and just complete the whole aesthetic.
Got the summertime love. I work for your heart all night till the dawn. You stay when they switched up. I know you're the one. They go and they come. You like.
What is this?
Isn't it cute? It's so cute.
That's so false. I am the cutest.
This is how it looks like right now. Gotta protect myself from the sun and also from the craft resin. For this DIY, we'll be making some resin coasters, and this could have been one of my favorites too, but I think I messed it up a little bit. Basically, you're supposed to mix in equal amounts of epoxy resin and the hardener, but I poured out too much of each solution, and then when I tried to mix everything together, it barely fit the cup, which made it kind of hard to stir, and therefore I spilled some over the edge. And I think all of that kind of affected how the resin ended up curing, but I just poured a base layer of the mixture into the silicone molds, and then I just placed some of the dry flowers in kind of a random order, whatever floats your boat, and then lastly cover it with a second layer of the mixture and just make sure you cover all of the dried flowers. The solution might push around the flowers a little bit, but I just went back in and used the mixing stick to adjust the placement of the flowers back to where they were originally, and it turned out just fine. and then I let it cure for like 48 hours. But even after that, some of the coasters still weren't fully hardened, and I think it's honestly because I didn't mix the solution properly. But there was one that was decently okay, and so I decided to move on with that one and let the other 3 finish curing. I don't know if they ever will, but last thing I did was just paint a gold finishing around the edge just to give it a more elevated, sophisticated look. It could have turned out better, but I think overall it wasn't too bad and still looked really pretty and aesthetic. This next project is super cute and trendy. We are going to be making the LED cloud light that some of you guys might have seen on TikTok. So first I took some fairy lights and just wrapped it all around this empty 2-liter bottle. And then once I got to the very end, I used some packaging tape to secure the battery pack to the bottle. And then here I'm using some invisible wire or string. I forget what it's called, but I'll link it in the description box. But basically when you use this to hang your light, it'll look like it's floating in the air like a cloud in real life. Honestly, I would recommend wrapping the string around the bottle itself instead of just taping it, just to make sure it's more secure. And then lastly, I just took a hot glue gun and started gluing on some polyfill to give it the final cloud-like look.